These 1/24th scale model slot cars made by RussKit and the clear slot car bodies made by Lancer are the real high point of scale model slot car racing during the golden era of the 60s slot car frenzy or craze. This car is just beautiful, really well modeled, but it is not like a model kit. It's not made of real hard styrene plastic. The body's fairly flexible, and like this Lancer body, it started out as a clear body and they're painted on the inside. Now these RussKit cars, they did not use the Lancer bodies. They had their own body making that they did. And these RussKit slot cars came in kit form. So one was a deluxe one where the body was painted. One was a standard one with an unpainted body. And you still had to assemble the chassis in both kits. The deluxe one, there were a few little details on the body you had to probably attach with glue and put some decals on. But really, almost any young racer should have had the skills to be able to put one of these together properly. And these really run great. Now, there are people that collect these sort of golden era slot cars, and many of them are really well engineered, really well done. People have really fond memories of their time spent in the racing centers that were across the country. And there was really this big boom. And then around 1967, it just started to die and die pretty quickly. So a real interesting period for slot cars. And like I say, for these scale model aspect at these racing center, these RussKit Carrera series is what they were called. They did 4 different bodies. That's a real high point. Now, one of the things I wanted to do is take one of these RussKit chassis and mount one of these Lancer bodies, their Chaparral 2E with a distinctive high wing on it. And there's a gentleman that was making copies of these Lancer slot car bodies. He was doing them in Lexan, a more modern, a lot more robust material than the original ones, but it doesn't quite give the same sort of sharpness of a lot of the teeny little details that were in these Lancer bodies. These original Lancer bodies, I believe they used a butyrate plastic, and the problem with that is when you heat it up to go to mold it, it emits toxic fumes. So that's why it's not used anymore. These bodies can also curl up, and oftentimes, if they were on a slot car, any little crash, you'll get cracks in the corners and splits on the seams and stuff like that. So it's really hard to find these old slot cars with these clear plastic vacuum form bodies in good condition. Now this Lotus isn't perfect, but it's in really pretty sharp shape. That's easy to say. So I wanted to meet these two together, and I had bought this body over 20 years ago, and I'm not sure how long I've had this chassis. Now, originally it had a really beat up or ruined Chaparral body, a different Chaparral model, because RussKit never made a 2E version of the Chaparral. My friend Nick, aka Nick's Garage, he restores these vintage slot cars for a number of collectors. So he helped me out, straightened out the chassis. He mounted the body for me. You got to poke holes through the body. I wasn't super comfortable doing that. So thanks, Nick. So I got that 20-year itch scratched, and I now have a pretty cool Chaparral 2E slot car that should run really good, and it's got new tires on it too. Now, this is just a snapshot of some of the cars that were made in the slot car boom of the 60s. Like here's a Monogram Chaparral. Now this is more of a model body on a brass chassis. Again, this came as a kit. And also, here's another one just to give you just a quick taste of some of the stuff. This is an AMT slot car. They basically used a version of one of their promo models with this flat interior piece put in, and chassis mounts glued to the side here, and their own very heavy brass chassis, very big motor. These run really good. You know, the monograms aren't too bad either. But, you know, something like this with the really super light, super low body is just going to run away from either of the AMT or Monogram cars. And sometimes that change in technology came about very quickly. Probably one of the things that led to the demise of the slot car boom. But anyway, if you're interested in this stuff, and I know there's a lot of collectors, my good friend Philippe made this book, Slot Car Dreams. It's available at Electric Dreams in both soft and hardcover. And I've been meaning to make a video on that book. And just so you know, I do know the author. I'm kind of biased, but it's great. There's a lot of research that went into that. I mean, years of work. So I know this is a little different than what I've been doing. I'd mostly been doing HO stuff and some of my real car stuff. But I don't see a lot of vintage slot car stuff from the 60s up there. And so I thought I'd do this, and I figured I would talk about my 20-year project that I got some help finishing off. Let me know what you think in the comments.